Mouseketeers, welcome to the Disneyland beat where our toes tap to a Disneyland drum.
And we always whistle while we work. Well, folks, the opening of Disneyland must be closer than the closing is behind us. We sure hope the park can reopen its attractions in the next few months at least.
But when it does, we wonder what rides might need to wait a bit longer than the rest to open up.
Well, we did our research at Walt Disney World, seeing how they have reopened the rides.
And we used our experience at Disneyland to come up with a list of attractions that will be difficult for Disney to reopen.
And some, we speculate, won't reopen until much later than the rest.
Come on into the parks with us and let's check it out.
Like, subscribe, and stick around.
Welcome, Mouseketeers. Well, we can't wait until Disneyland reopens and we can put this pandemic behind us, right?
Yes, that day will be wonderful. We can't wait. And Disney has really done a fantastic job putting in safety features at Walt Disney World. And the crowds have gotten pretty heavy during the holidays, but the protocols seem to be mostly working.
But Disneyland will have even higher hurdles to jump in California, and we think some attractions will have a difficult time meeting the standards for spacing and ventilation.
Some attractions will be easier than others. So many attractions are outside. The Matterhorn and Big Thunder Mountain Railroad barely go inside anything. Space Mountain can spread its crowds out across the Tomorrowland Terrace and keep the inside tunnels moving.
Now, some rides that we think will be difficult to open have opened at Walt Disney World. We think the attractions at Galaxy's Edge fit this bill. Smuggler's Run has a queue that's almost entirely inside, though they will undoubtedly extend the outdoor portion, but once you get past Hondo Anaka, things get much tighter. So it'll take Disneyland's amazing cast members to keep this spaced out for everyone.
Some rides, like Toy Story Midway Mania and Radiator Springs Racers, they're all outside. They have outdoor open-air queues.
Yes, it will be difficult, but possible. Rise of the Resistance has some similar problems. The transport ship is small and needs to be loaded carefully, but they have partitioned it up at Walt Disney World for multiple groups with plexiglass dividers. The crowd does get a little bottlenecked as you come on and off and in the hallway prior to the interrogation room, but
you're really relying on everybody wearing their mask properly and the ventilation systems of the building. These are both brand new attractions with lots of projectors that need it cool. So again, difficult, but possible to be safe.
We think it's possible any interactive exhibits will remain closed for some time after the parks reopen. This could mean that portions of TOONTOWN will be closed somehow, including most of the interactive buildings of downtown with the post office and the factories and jail, but maybe even Goofy, Chippendale, and Donald's house will be closed for some time as well.
Well, we would hope that Mickey and Minnie's house would still be open for some distance meet and greets, but they might not be at first, or at least all of the easy-to-touch surfaces might be roped off. So really at TOONTOWN, that would really just leave Roger Rabbit, Gadget's Go Coaster, and some eateries. So we wouldn't be too terribly surprised to see it stay closed at first, or to have limited hours for the entire land.
We also think that the whole interactive issue might apply to the animation building and the Sorcerer's Workshop. That entire exhibit might not be available for some time. The space is small and the animation exhibits require lots of touching, and the Beast Library with its touchscreen game is probably going to be put on hold at first.
The animation building might actually be repurposed or maybe even closed entirely. An indoor meet and greet with face characters like Anna and Elsa might take a while to reoccur. Turtle Talk with Crush is a pretty small theater that is designed to have much of its crowd sitting together on the floor, so that one might be out, though distancing might be possible. Only the Animation Academy, which takes place in a large theater, seems to have the space to do what it normally does, and even that would take a lot of effort. These types of attractions have not reopened at Walt Disney World yet.
We are a little less sure about other outdoor interactive areas. Will they just keep Tom Sawyer's Island and the Red Creek Challenge Trail area closed, or will they provide lots of hand sanitizer and regulation? These attractions are less likely to create unregulated and spontaneous lines, but they certainly have lots of high-touch areas in those small caves and will be very difficult to sanitize after each use. If Walt Disney World is a measure for this, they should all be open, but in a limited fashion. We might see some of the more interactive parts closed or inaccessible.
So we already know that the theater shows, or at least Frozen and Mickey and the Magical Map, are closed, so it's unlikely that Disneyland will have rebuilt shows for either of those spaces immediately, though it does strike us that at least the Fantasyland Theater will be used in some sort of way. The space is an outdoor theater and very spacious, so it seems like a great candidate for some kind of attraction or character cavalcade.
The Royal Theater at Fantasy Fair, which has not been mentioned specifically, also might be closed for some time. Though again, as an outdoor theater, it should be a useful space, like maybe meet and greets for socially distanced meet and greets. The entire Fantasy Fair, however, is basically just a big meet and greet, so it might be on pause for a while.
Other theaters that come to mind are the Golden Horseshoe, which was showing Dueling Pianists, the Main Street Opera House with Mr. Lincoln, Disney Junior, which can get crowded, and Mickey's PhilharMagic, which rarely sees any crowds, not to mention Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room. We think these will all open with the rest of the park, especially if Walt Disney World is any measure, as the Orlando equivalents are all open.
Most of the attractions and rides should be able to separate groups or provide plexiglass barriers to make the operations safer and allow the rides to operate. But there's one in Disneyland that seems to us like, no matter what, that just might not be possible. In this case, it's the ride itself and not the queue like it is with most of the issues. The Finding Nemo submarine voyage is notorious for its stale air and tight quarters.
We find it difficult to imagine this attraction has sufficient ventilation to safely operate, nor can we envision it fitting both plexiglass barriers and people.
We also think it's possible that the Sleeping Beauty Castle walkthrough will be closed for some time as well. It's a potential candidate. It really is pretty tight inside the castle, and it would be more difficult than other spaces for Disney to regulate social distancing throughout the many displays and the dioramas on the walk.
One final attraction we think is worth mentioning is the Haunted Mansion. Now, we think Disney will probably find a way to open this one, but the stretching room elevators really present quite a unique challenge.
Walt Disney World has just kept the scene closed, and the line can just move straight through, and because their version it only stretches the ceiling. But as Disneyland's are actually functioning elevators is a little bit trickier. There are probably some ramps that come in from the outside, and we're hoping that the ramps and staircases, cast member and ADA access can then lead down to the lower level, so everyone can use that and that ride can open with all the rest.
Like so many rides, once you get to the actual ride vehicle, there seems to be space and distancing, but it's just getting there safely.
Well, that's the list, and we want to point out we do think it's just going to be a little bit of extra time for these rides, just a little bit more time for these, and we're champs at this now, so we can wait it out. And as we look back over the list, there's really only one attraction that seems like it might be out longer than the others, the Submarine Voyage. We think most of the other attractions and spaces that we talk about could open with the rest of the park with enough capacity limitation and cleaning and regulation.
So what do you guys think? Is there anything you think we missed or something on the list that shouldn't be? Let us know in the comments.
Well, take care, Mouseketeers. See you real soon.
See you real soon.